This is probably the first video I have done in over a year. So if you're listening on the audio version of this podcast, please understand that there's a video hopefully working and available on YouTube at the time of you're listening to this. It's been a while. I'm new to this. This whole streamer thing just went south. So Casey's been laughing at me for probably 5 minutes. So this is now a recorded Chaplain's Assistant's Motorpod video along with an audio podcast, trying something new, failing hard the first time and making the most out of it. So I am your host, Gary, and with me as always is
Casey
from Podcast from the Pit. Casey, as always, the co-host with the most from Podcast from the Pit. So Casey, thanks for being here and to witness this nosedive.
It's going to be great. Don't worry about it. It's going to be great. I'm always grateful to be on. Like I said, I was a big fan before you asked me to come on, so it's just I look forward to it.
Yeah. So if this is your first video watching, welcome. This is the Chaplain System Motorpod. This is the podcast that is centered around the vehicles, playsets, and even trailers of the G.I. Joe Real American Hero toy line from 1982 to 1994, also going to the present day, but focusing on the original O-Ring era. We also talk comic books and what's going on in our lives of collecting. And with that, Casey, before we get to you, I'm going to talk a little about what I did this past weekend. I went to the New Haven Comics and Collectibles Spectacular Show. I vended, got rid of my multitudes of extras, and really only sold comic books. Wolverine's a good seller, but Casey, you will probably laugh when you hear what the biggest selling comic book title was.
What was that?
It was the Sensational She-Hulk, the John Byrne run of She-Hulk from Marvel Comics from the early 90s.
Hey, I love John Byrne. Great artist, great writer. Can't stand the character She-Hulk, so I couldn't get into it.
I brought almost the complete run of She-Hulk, sold almost completely out of it. I only have a handful of issues left from that complete run. My dad was with me. He was laughing because he says, of all the things, it was just like he never expected to go. The first things that sold were a bunch of leftover Charlton comics.
Okay.
So I've been collecting Charlton comics for a little bit, concentrating on a few titles, but it's one of those things. Oh, you see it in like a $1 or $2 bin, you pick it up. And then I ended up with a bunch that I was like not really caring about. And so I just brought them in and a dealer bought them right up for me. So obviously $2 a book was too little. And then sold some Wolverines and stuff, but brought a whole bunch of G.I. Joe stuff, sold a little bit. And there was this little girl walking around with her dad and she was naming off. I mean, this girl was like 4 or 5. She was naming off the Wolverine, the APC, the Mobat. And I'm like, what the heck is this? My dad's even like, is she even right? And I'm like, yeah, she's 99% right. Yes, spot on. She's a Joe nut. And
awesome.
her dad's like, well, you can't get this and you can't get that because like so afraid of buying something that's really fragile. And I understood that, but I had this like Big Shoulders, New Sculpt era, like toy submarine that if you press the button, it made like little noises. It was a Cobra black and yellow submarine. And I said, here, take it. You've earned this by far. Take this, play with it, beat it up. I don't care. Have fun with your G.I. Joes. And, the guy was really grateful. And it was fun. Had a lot of fun.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it was a good time. Showed off a whole bunch of G.I. Joe stuff that for the most part just came back with me. So it was good. It was doing it again in December and looking forward to, seeing the same people time and time again. Now,
Nice.
Casey, you went somewhere.
I did. Me and Matt also does podcasts from the pit. We went to the Great Ohio Toy Show, and it's in Xenia, Ohio. It happens twice a year, March and October, and just had a great time. Uh, Picked up a few things. You know, I don't sell stuff; I buy stuff. I need to sell some stuff, but it's hard for me to part with things. But I found, and I know it's not GI Joe, but I love Walking Dead. I found a vendor that had tons of Walking Dead figures. They were $20 a piece, but if you bought five, you got them for $10 a piece. So I got
Why wouldn't you buy five?
right. So I got like six zombies I didn't have.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and probably the prize of my day, got a carded Mouton.
Wow. That's
Yes.
awesome. Wow. Totally jealous. That's cool.
Yeah. But I mean, it's such a good time there, and always run into people. Ran into Scuba Pete from Chasing 80s, and Michael French from Retro Blasting. I think is that a show?
Yeah, that's a show.
Yeah, I think it's a show. I guess there's so many shows out there that I get names mixed up, but both of them. I've know Pete. First time meeting Michael, both super nice, and just some vendors that I always deal with, like Destro's Toy Den. Just such a great time. I highly recommend it. If anybody can go to those shows, they are a blast. Have great food trucks, so it's like a kind of like an all day thing. Just go there, buy toys, talk toys,
Yeah.
eat, eat good food. Not good for you, but good food.
Yeah, the vendor that was supposed to do food at our show, they have it's like at a VFW hall, and
Hmm.
they have like a little food area. The people didn't show. The food
Oh,
vendor never showed. So one of the things when you're a vendor, I told my dad next time bagging lunch, we're just peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But yeah, it was a little rough. The guy comes walking around and you give him $5 for pizza. But yeah,
yeah,
wish I had food trucks.
yeah. Oh, it was nice. Had our choice of like seven food trucks.
Oh, so cool. All right.
Yeah.
So the main meat of this missile is we're going to be talking new O-ring GI Joes.
Yes.
We're going to focus on Super 7, but Casey was slow on the trigger, or maybe he's choosing not to. He did not get the Triple T Kup, and I got mine this morning, and I opened it up, transformed Kup a few times. Impressive figure, but I'm not going to talk Transformers today. But I'll just say Triple T Kup. He's great. He's posable.
Looks great. Yeah.
It was definitely he's the main attraction. As they just knocked him over. It's okay. He only crashed into a Battle Force 2000 vehicle. Uh,
It's fine.
but the big thing was it came with two new O-ring Joes, the Sarge,
Love Sarge.
and that's the reason why we're doing a video because we're showing off toys this time around. And as things get a little more organized in my part, we'll get better at it. But yeah, it's a O-ring Sergeant Slaughter, and then he comes with his swagger stick, and not pictured because it's somewhere else. A moment. But then the other one is we've got Leatherneck.
He looks really good.
So the big thing about the Leatherneck, and I'm going to show the Leatherneck with the. Oh, I didn't grab my other Leatherneck. But this is the cool thing about these new O-ring Joes. And I'm going to put his rifle down. So watch his head. Down, up,
Yeah.
turn left and right. So Hasbro must have listened to the the annoying fanboys like myself about why didn't we get the ball necks. I'm just going to say this. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy that I have these. I am going to be the weird collector, the weird open box collector in here. I'm going to put them both in the frame. So they're definitely pinker. The flesh is definitely pinker. They are
Yeah.
about the same size. I'm picturing them here with the original Triple T Sergeant Slaughter. So you have a slightly different camo pattern. You got the white belt like the mail away. So it's really more of an homage to the a little bit of both the mail away and the original Triple T, trying to take some of the best aspects of both. And it is to me, I mean, look at the detail on those glasses too.
Yeah.
But I want to point out one more thing that really impressed me. So he's about the same height. His traps are not as large as on the original molds. But if you look at his shoulders, the shoulders remind me of New Sculpt era because they're bigger. But get this, his arms are bigger. He looks muscular. I'm going to say something really out there right now. This is going to be a hot take, but on first blush, I've been playing with him for about 3 hours now. This is my favorite O-ring Sergeant Slaughter. And it also doesn't hurt that it's brand new. I can put guns in his hands. They're gummy. I know some people complain about the gummy. You know what? To me, that's confidence inspiring. So this is as an open package guy, this guy's going to get a lot of display and playtime.
No, he looks great. Yeah. I've liked all the O rings that they put out, except for I think one of the Cobra Troopers, his leg was a little messed up.
Yeah, the Cobra officer
Cobra
and
Officer.
the Stinger driver have the same problem where they when they cast the upper leg, they didn't carry the cut further up.
I still haven't opened my Stinger. I don't have a place to put it right now.
Honest to God, that Stinger, I'm still say these retro Hasbro O rings should be mass retail release. These would sell, and they're good toys. They're actually good toys. And that's the thing. You want kids to continue GI Joe and to play with GI Joe, then and you're marketing these as 4 and up, get them in the hands of kids. Make a cartoon. Have a marketable movie. Doesn't have to be good. The kids just have to like it. I mean, you can do it. You just need a visual medium for today's kids. This these will sell. That's all kids need.
I'd be even okay. Let's say they make a cartoon for Netflix or something like that, and it's a little anime-ish. I would be okay if they made the figures like that, as long as it got to the kids and got the kids interested.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I have a complete set of Renegades.
I love Renegades.
I love Renegades. I watched it with my wife when we were still dating. So either that's how into me she was
Right.
because she wanted me to propose, like I'll put up with this. But a little backstory. Casey and I are both celebrating anniversaries in the coming days of October.
Yep.
So we were just talking about our wives before going on. But we watched it together and I have such fond memories. And it is a pretty good cartoon. I'm not going to say it's going to have that same timelessness as the Sunbow, but it's still really good.
It's very good.
And it's held up okay. So I just want to say but these O-rings are good toys. Market the crap out of GI Joe. It takes marketing to sell things.
Yeah.
So I'll just say this: before we get into the meat and potatoes, the appetizers, the new Hasbro O-rings, these things are superb. I love them. I love them. I love them. I love them. A little high price because you're buying Kup. But I was on eBay real quick to see how much they would go for loose, like if you just wanted to pick them up. And right now they're about $36 each figure, which is kind of high. It's going to come
Yeah.
down. I did buy a second one because I thought one of them was going to be going to my friend in Norway, but because this is available everywhere, it's not a exclusive to Hasbro Pulse. I ended up with a second set. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to take out the carded Slaughter and the carded Leatherneck. I'm going to leave them carded in
Mhm.
my dream My goal is to run into Ron Rudat and run into Sergeant Slaughter and get them to sign them.
Joe Fest. They'll both be at Joe Fest.
So Casey's selling me on Joe Fest already. Yeah, and then I'll just sell the cup as I'll sell the cup, and just get some of my money back. So anything you got on the O-ring Joes? On the
I don't. Yeah, I don't have those. That I think the leatherneck looks great from what I'm seeing. And you may have just pushed me to try to get it because I don't have any of the Transformers, but I do have some of the figures that came with them because a buddy of mine just wanted the Transformers and he just sent me the figures and I thought that was cool. But I really want that leatherneck.
it is. It's a tasty figure. The paint is nice and matted, and
It looks great.
it does. He looks good. The Sarge isn't half bad either.
No, I think that leatherneck's the one that's stealing the show. I think for me, I'd like to see him in the tan, like Brazil.
Hasbro, you want to do it. You like reusing molds. Tiger Force him, Special
Anything.
Missions Brazil
Yeah.
him. Night Force. Come on. So I really haven't had too many complaints with the Hasbro O-rings,
Hmm.
other than the typical ball neck and stuff. But overall, I'm always looking to take 40-year-old toys that I do like owning and displaying,
Hmm.
but I also like getting the modern ones to play,
Yeah.
just to do little things. When I did the promo image for last Missal, which was the Thunder Machine,
Hmm.
I grabbed my vintage Thrasher, I grabbed my vintage Thunder Machine, but I used my new Zorana from the Thunderwave set, because to me she's better, even though you only saw her from the backside because she was dropping the flag for a drag race
Hmm.
between the vamp, and nobody called me out on the vamp. I'm surprised. I used the Sears vamp
Oh.
because the Sears vamp had easier access to. So I'm bringing it outside. Yeah, bring the $200 toy, but that's nobody saw it because I had the shovel, and I even you were in the group and it says nobody's going to say anything about the shovel on the vamp. Yeah, it's just what I do. It was kind of a flex.
Yeah.
All right, now the new kid on the block, the new thing a lot of guys are talking about. We're just coming to the party now because we haven't been able to record the past couple Saturdays. Is the Super 7 O-rings. Now, Casey, why don't you introduce this? Because you were also at Joe Fest.
Hmm.
So you want to do a little bit about Joe Fest and bring us into the O-rings?
Well, they had a really nice setup. Super 7 did with the displays, the uh, prototypes because they weren't
Yep.
colored or anything like that. Yeah.
Yep. Test
Uh,
shots.
Test shots. There we go. I don't have all the toy lingo,
That's fine.
but
Don't worry about it.
I thought they looked great. I mean, I couldn't pick them up or anything to have them in hand. I mean, I didn't try to anyway.
I think he would have let us because Brian was so nice.
Yeah, but I was, pretty excited for this line because I think we're going to get figures that Hasbro would never make. Eventually, I think we're going to get like some Sumbo characters that you just put in one episode or something like that. Just something crazy. And I think they're going to be fun. And same thing with the comic books. We're going to get some excellent. I could see them doing Doctor Venom or uh, what's the candy apple,
Oh yeah, Bongo
Bongo
the
the
Balloon
bear.
Bear.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I could see it. Super 7 is known for this crazy stuff, and I'm for it. Give me
yeah,
something I've never had before. I love
yeah.
it.
And we're also going to get, and I don't blame Super 7, but we're also going to get all the Python Patrol repaints and the Tiger Force repaints. But who cares?
Yeah, get your money's worth out of that mold. You know, I get that.
Get your money's worth out of the mold because you're going to get my money at least
Yeah,
for 2 figures each. One to keep card and one to open up. That's where I'm going to do O-ring. I'm going to stay, and I love O-rings.
I pretty much open everything.
I'm waiting for 2 more bats to come in. I'm also getting another 2 Cover Girls and another 2 Cobra Commanders, another 2 Snake Eyes. Check me out in December at the New Haven Toy Show because I did overbuy. But I made commitments. That's what I do, and then I honor them, of course.
Yeah.
They also make great Christmas gifts. So maybe if they don't sell, they're going right in the post. Yeah. So Casey, yeah. So we saw them at Joe Fest. We when my thing was at Joe Fest was I was like, okay, these are test shots. I wasn't sure how far along they were in the process.
Surprised me they're out so fast.
Absolutely. I had some concerns. The test shots to me at Joe Fest didn't look finished enough. It looked like there was, in my eyes, that there was probably going to be some revisions. But in reality, what we saw at Joe Fest was exactly what we ended up with, just painted and colored.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do the honors, Casey. Which one do you want to talk about first? We got 4 to choose from.
Well, let's see. I love them all, but I'll start with my favorite, the bat.
Wow.
I love the bat. I think the blue and the orange, I think it's fantastic. Uh, if I have one knock on it, it doesn't want to hold the gun very well.
I have the same um, concern with mine. Now, a little bit about the bat. I think you saw I posted in our chat group. Uh, the bat is the comic book first appearance. So from, gosh, I want to say issue 44, where Dr. Brainwave, Dr. Mindbender introduces them against the Mauler with heavy metal, airtight, and I think in Lady J.
Yeah, AJ.
In Lady J, they're all. It's like this big, it's a big toy issue. It's the first appearance of Dr. Mindbender. So it's a there's a panel in it where the bat is driving a stinger, you know, leaning out, the doors off the stinger, and it's shooting the gun. Probably going to end up using that image probably to do for the promo for this show because I don't need to take it again. And overall, it's very similar to the vintage. So I'll hold up mine. So yeah, it's blue and it has like almost like, I wouldn't call it orange. It's almost like a leather. It's a leather color.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hold it right next to the vintage bat, and I'll just take his machine gun out. Um, Now the other big difference with these is both his hands are replaceable. So you can change the left and the right. You got a little bit more of a ridge on the top, like a mohawk on the top of his head, where it's more of a ridge on the OG.
Yeah.
There's a nice 3D sculpting detail on his chest rather than the lenticular.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
I mean, overall, the proportions and everything are the same. You had similar details. The biggest changes, and this will probably be a criticism, but I'm not going to say it's positive or negative. But the legs are a little thinner, and we're going to talk about that on the other figures about the legs and arms, the limbs being a little bit
Mhm.
thinner than on the originals. But overall, I got to share your sentiment. I'm also a huge fan of this new bat.
Mhm.
It's done very well, and there's really not much to say other than the fact that it's awesome.
And I love the fact that it's $5 cheaper than the five POA figures they were putting out.
Yeah, I think they're coming out swinging hard. I think they want to get these into the hands of more people. Obviously it's working on our end because we're talking about it.
Hmm.
I really didn't talk too much about the reaction figures, but this reaction plus line,
Yeah.
I think is worth as doing this podcast. This is something I want to talk about. It's something I actively want to collect.
Oh yeah. I'm excited. I've already got my twins pre-ordered from Big Bad.
Yeah. Yeah, that if there's anything that I complain about, I really wanted to just get two sets of the twins. So I'm gonna have to pay scalper pricing for probably one set. Although somebody else could probably be like, just have somebody at work, sign up and just order a set for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, overall, you're right. The bats is my favorite too. I'll go off. Oh, and the other thing too is so the bats is like the other thing is the original didn't come with a gun, and this bats comes with
Hmm.
a nice silver machine gun again from the same issue of GI Joe. And then another thing that was pointed out, and it's right, is the sculpting on the forearms is much better than the original. You actually got like little gears near the elbow rivets.
Yeah.
Forgotten Figures pointed that out on Twitter when I posted my pictures of this. So credit where credit is due. Also, the laser gun and the flamethrower, they're a little bit hollow on the end, so potentially
Blast effects.
blast effects.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Crossing fingers. Um, I'm all for pushing the O-ring medium further and further.
Yeah. I don't get a lot of 112 stuff. I'm a 118 guy. 'Cause I don't know. It makes me feel like a kid, and I like that feeling. I get tired of adulting all the time.
Yeah,
So that's how I grew up. That's what I still like today.
yeah. And just because of I love the 4-inch figures too. I really think the 4-inch line is probably the pinnacle of 1/18th action figures.
Yeah.
The only thing is sometimes it just doesn't mesh well with the original line for
Yeah.
fitting them in the vehicles. And seeing as how that's what I centered this podcast around in the very beginning, it's kind of a big deal for me. But just anything to stay in this O-ring line, like with what call sign Longbow, Delta 17, Operation Recall, uh, you know, Skeletron, more and more and more and more, gimme, 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 gimme.
The Legends of the Hidden Force.
Legends of the Force, they just released their Paint Masters. Oh my gosh, those look great. So I actually like what they're doing. You know what my favorite part of Legends of the Hidden Force is what they're doing with the figure stands. They're actually coming up with figure stands that mount the feet like on an angle and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So as much as I really enjoy the figures, it's like, ooh, dynamic and foot peg stands. But
Hey, I think it's gonna be that next level for. It's gonna be fun. I'm glad I got in on that line. I wish I would have went all in, but I think I only got 8 figures.
yeah, I'm really happy I went in on a lot of things before uh, this year when my wife came crashing down on the budget. So happy, so happy that money's long gone. So I'm going to go next. My next pick to talk about, I'm going to go with Cover Girl. So this Cover Girl is from the first miniseries, and not the Revenge of Cobra. It was, gosh, I want to say Rise of Cobra. Casey, do you remember what the first miniseries name was?
I do not. Somebody's screaming right now.
Yeah.
They're
Oh
they're
yeah.
like,
Oh yeah. I can tell you. I can name names of several podcasters right now that you and I both converse with regularly. Yeah, but this is from the original miniseries. She comes with a brown XLMR from, originally from Snow Job. And I got her up in the camera with the OG cover girl. And I got to say, so she's more in a olive green suit up and down. She has a khaki shirt underneath her open jacket. She's got green boots instead of brown boots with like light green highlights. And if I can get my fingers out of the way. And, she's the blonde cartoon version versus the brown hair. Now, a lot of people have said, there's always been something off on the head. And I figured it out today. You're going to laugh. It's her eyebrows. Her eyebrows are very thin, whereas the original are kind of thick and kind of bushy. So the original is kind of like Brooke Shields, and I don't know. It's like the early 2000s when the girls plucked their eyebrows to near nothing. Uh,
Yeah,
just, but they're there. Um, you know, and she's got like dark black eyes. She's a much more slender face, and it's definitely a more feminine head, and it's definitely something that I would say is much more, with the long blonde hair, a la Baroness from 1984.
hmm
She definitely looks more of the part of a cover girl, is supermodel.
yeah, because that original did not.
They did it as much as they could for what they could do in 1983, which they were still, I think they were still pushing. They were pushing all the way into 84 when Baroness. So I'm not going to knock them for Scarlet. I'm not going to knock them for CoverGirl. I don't know what they were thinking with Lady J after a home run with the Baroness, but that's neither here nor there. And we're not even going to talk about Zorana because that thing got all sorts of screwed up.
But the bat, you definitely got the comic feel. I feel like you get the Sunbow feel from CoverGirl.
100, 100, 100%, 1,000%. I liked, as a comic guy, my favorite portrayal of CoverGirl was when Devil's Due used her and she had that long flowing blonde hair.
hmm
And I definitely want to pick up that version in from the Big Shoulder era loose because I'm getting more and more nervous about opening it up. When I bought it when it was cheap, when
Yeah.
nobody wanted any Big Shoulder figures. But yeah, I mean, this is just a solid, solid figure. This XLMR, we're going to see a lot more of it.
Oh yeah, for
I
sure.
mean, that's the Sunbow GI Joe gun. That is like the standard issue rifle. Anything with Coverall you'd like to add?
I think she's a beautiful figure. If and it's not a knock on any of these. Some not some. I'm sorry, Super 7 figures is. I don't get that feeling like when I'm a kid opening up a Joe with these, but that's okay. These are their own thing, and I think they're great. And like I said, she's a beautiful figure, and I can't wait to see more of these figures. Gun doesn't want to stay in her hand that well.
Well, what I find is these fingers, they definitely tighten back up, but they're very quick to release, and then the guns get a little floppy in there. That's my experience. But guess what? I don't care.
Right.
She's going to go into a Wolverine. We're going to close out tonight, and then I'm going to get up and I'm going to be walking by my Wolverine, and I'm going to be like stuffing her in there and be like, heck yeah.
I need to get some stands. I run out of stands for my O-ring figures, so when I do, I'll probably have these on the stands, but without their guns in their hands, because I
Okay.
just see them hitting the floor and losing them. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. There's Ian's Customs. I can't think of his name. Ian's Collectibles in Ian's Displays. IAIN. I have it bookmarked on my phone. But yeah, I'm ready to buy more stands. I've gone through all the ones I've had, and now I'm ready to buy more. They're like
Yeah,
850 for 20 of them,
that's
and
not bad.
they're little clear plastic stands about the size of a quarter, and they work.
Yeah.
They're the most reasonable solution I think at the moment, until Legends of the Hidden Force starts selling theirs. So yeah, so Cover Girl, all good. You got two
Yep.
left, Casey. Why don't you pick out the next one?
My Cobra Commander.
Nice.
Now, I wish it's just me. I wish they had the thing on his back that you can put his little hair dryer gun, but you know, can't have everything you want. I love the blue. It's like a royal blue, nice shiny mask. The logo's awesome. Legs are skinny though.
The legs actually are a little bit skinnier, but then the on the flip side, the arms are a little skinnier, but they're not as bad as the last figure coming up. But overall, I think the head sculpt. I like the head sculpt. It's much more modernized and stylized. It has more character
Mm-hmm.
than the 83 or the Hasbro Retro. And like you said, yeah, the no back for the laser pistol is a little bit of a let of I don't want to even say let down.
Right.
It's definitely a choice because and this is a Sunbow.
Yeah.
So while the Hasbro Retro one I showed was the Sunbow colored inspired 83 design mold inspired. This is definitely 100% Sunbow, and he never had the back pistol on in Sunbow.
True.
And to that end, he's wielding dual pistols right now. The other thing is he doesn't have the hair dryer gun.
Yeah, maybe I'm getting old. It kind of looks like the hair dryer again.
It kind of does, but it's not. It's not the same. He just has the. I like the Sunbow inspired little pistol.
Mm-hmm.
I like it better than the big pistol. And actually, I like the Sunbow pistol so much. I'm only going to display him with that. It's just such a nice, vintage like Flash Gordon feel. It's my choice. I know that Steven, who we talked to, he mentioned he said there was kind of like a little bit of a miscut there. And he's nitpicky because it is there, but it isn't. It's not enough for me to really be like, you know, as a detriment. It's just like, okay, it's a little bit. I'm going to look at the other. Now I think it's more noticeable on CoverGirl,
Yeah, definitely.
but really Cobra Commander is a solid figure. The head, I think the head, while stylized, it might suffer a little bit from shrunken syndrome. It is a smaller head. It looks a little small, but overall, I like the definition on it. It's not as blobby as the original. But other than that, they got the details really crisp and right. And also, I think this is one where I could say the difference between a computer generated model versus a hand generated model, you can definitely tell.
I think mine, the O ring might be a little too tight because it keeps throwing off his torso. Like you can't hold him straight or keep him straight. It just turns on its own.
Oh, okay, mine's pretty good.
Yeah.
It has like a little spot where it locks in, and it does pretty good.
But that's something that'll work itself out.
Oh, and look at that. My arm swivel's a little loose.
Yeah.
I like Cobra Commander.
Yeah, me too.
It's a decent ad. I don't know, display or play. Man, I'm looking at both of them right now off the screen, and I don't know. I like him better. I like him better from Super 7 today. Ask me again in 2 weeks or
Yeah,
3 weeks. Which one I have displayed upstairs in my Camp Jellystone battle diorama. Might switch out, but they're both solid.
yeah.
The Super 7, I'm glad I got it. It's just another one to add and options. I like options.
Gotta have options.
Got to have options. But that brings us to the final figure, and that is Super 7 Reaction Plus Snake Eyes with a visor, comic inspired from, I want to say, issue 46, when Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow invade Cobra Island. I think they're on the hunt for Zartan, if I remember my details right.
Yeah, I think so.
It's from that issue with that gorgeous Mike Zeck cover.
Yeah.
But name Mike Zeck cover that wasn't gorgeous, really. Yeah, so you got your version 2 Snake Eyes. Now, this is like the bat, it is an original ball neck figure that now is a swivel neck figure. So it only goes left and right, does not go up and down. It is similar in style to the 83 and 84 figures with swivel arm battle grip. It comes with a backpack, and the backpack's unique because it stores the sword
Yep.
behind it with a little slot. I find that the bottom of the sword rubs against Snake Eyes' tushy.
Yep.
So that is something that I'm not thrilled about.
He's probably not either.
I've got some chafing going on because he can talk now.
Yes, that's true. He's a good looking figure though. He was the one I was least excited about because we always get Snake Eyes. But he's a good looking figure.
Now, you want to know something that's good about? I like, and I'm going to say this: Super 7 got the head sculpt right. Super 7 got the head sculpt right with Snake Eyes, 100%.
Looks great. Yeah.
It looks great. The mask comes straight down, and the other thing is it's no lips. It's less off-putting than the original. I'm going to say this: I've been waiting for another version 2 Snake Eyes since they announced, like, we're going to do O-rings again. They retooled Mutt in the big shoulder era for O-ring before they did Snake Eyes version 2 with a visor. What the heck? We've been waiting since 1985 for another O-ring visored Snake Eyes. So take that for what you will. The pouches are a little smaller on the arms. He still has a little missile. It's no longer an arrow
Hmm.
on his right wrist. And then the other thing is, look at that Uzi. That is such a lovely Uzi. It is such a beautiful, beautiful gun. I love it. It is tasty. The only other thing that I think he lacks is, I think his legs and arms should be bigger, just like a little more muscular. That is really the only flaw that I can find on him. The paint apps are simple but tasteful, and it works. The only thing he can't really do is, you can't really spread his legs like to do like a high kick. If you're holding Snake Eyes version 2, you can see you get them like 90 degrees apart to do
Hmm.
like a side kick. And this one, you try to spread them out. They're a little tight. And I think that's because of the waist mold. But I think somebody that's talented with an X-Acto knife could easily remedy that. I think this is, very, very few gripes. Take him, piece of black string, have him rappelling up and down your walls and stuff.
Yeah. Like I said before, I'm just excited to see, now that we have Wave 1 in our hands. I like them a lot. Uh, Plan on just keep buying them. But I'm excited to see where they go. Let's get a nice O-ring Quinn from the comics.
Yes.
I would like to see, and maybe I don't own any of them, but I would like to get the October Guard. I'd like to see them redo the Cobra
Yes.
Guard.
Honestly, they could make every one-off character, comic
Mm.
and cartoon. I mean, honest to God, I'll buy every single one.
Oh, me
I
too.
am such an easy mark for this.
Yep.
Give me that Cool Breeze.
Yeah.
Give me that Olga, the white clown in Orlovsky, give me that. Give me a
Yeah.
Honda Lou, give me the Viper. The Viper, you know? Oh, geez. Give me Roadblock's aunt and uncle that own the Red Rocket. Have a
Make
Red
the Red
Rocket
Rocket a
playset.
playset. Yes, there we go. I mean, I want playsets. I do. I think Super 7 can do it.
I think they aim too high with the mothership.
Oh yeah.
That's something that I'm sure you listened to. Steven from G.I. Joburg and I discussed that at length. And the biggest thing was we contemplated was, are we going to get O-rings in our hands?
Hmm.
And we are. And they're at retail. I don't know if they've hit Australia yet, but I think if I remember my conversation with Steven right, if he sees these at retail at some peg in Australia, he's a mark for it too.
Yeah.
Uh, so, but the other thing you mentioned, and I want to talk about this. So this first wave, $20,
Hmm.
and you're like, but I don't. I think it says $20 is really where it needs to be. This is a licensed toy. You're not going to get them at $15 like if Hasbro's producing them direct in mass quantity. It's, face it, O-ring guys, we're niche. We're not mass market, primarily because they don't market it
Right.
enough, Hasbro. But they're incredible toys. And they're also, like I said, they're $20, not 25 like your 112 scale guys. So these guys are their margins on these things aren't as large because to
Right.
make an O-ring figure with all this tooling and everything, the plastic's actually the cheapest part. Buying the oil to turn it into plastic is the cheapest part. It's all the money's in this tooling, and tooling costs what it costs. It doesn't. You don't get discounts on molds.
Right. That's why in the classified you see what five or six different bats now. They're all made the same way. It's just different bats, and it's smart. It's smart.
Absolutely, and I don't knock them for it.
Oh,
I don't knock them for all the different vipers or the different snake eyes. Even roadblock. I mean, there's nothing. It's the nature of what they need to do to continue to bring product to market at a competitive price. I get it.
right.
It's a business thing. And there's going to be the guy that wants to have the Arctic bat, which is a
Hmm.
love. I will say this is one of the better of the classified bats. I had one. I opened it up. I enjoyed it. These guys got long legs. Super 7 is going to run these molds and they're not going
Hmm.
to lose them. And Brian Flynn, thank you for making these and thank you for bringing them to market. This is a huge risk for him. I want him to be successful. I just, I don't know what else to say at this point. I love him. Even there
Yeah.
may not be perfect, but nothing is in this day and age.
I guess bottom line is I'm excited to see where they go from here. First wave is a hit for me. Can't wait to get the twins, and I just can't wait to see what else they're going to put out for this.
Yeah. Twins in business suit attire.
Yes.
Awesome. I mean, they released some in 2003, 2004 as Toys R Us exclusives, and you had to buy one six-pack set to get Tomax and another six-pack set to get Zaymot. I
Nice.
mean, I mean, Toys R Us, that was pretty darn diabolical, if you ask me. But the other thing too is they're not that great. I have them.
Yeah.
I bought them a few years ago. The plastic's a little more pinkish than I'd like. They don't and you can't even swap heads with the OGs. The 85 heads are loose in the remold of the headman body.
Okay.
And then the other on the other flip side too is they both use the headman body. So whereas Super 7 are perfectly mirrored suits, so the breast is going over the left on one and the right on the other. These are both, the same men's suit. So they're not mirror image.
Right.
Is that a lost opportunity? Not really for Hasbro at that age, but Super 7 to go the extra mile because that means like the original Tomax and Zamat, they did every mold twice.
Yeah.
Maybe there might be some difference with the legs. They might have been able to cut costs on the legs and the waist, but these guys are spending money to put good product out.
Yeah. And if anybody's on the fence, I recommend them. I like them. I think if you like O rings, you'll like these. They're fun.
They're fun. They display nice if you're an in the box collector. You can park them on your shelf and they stand up very nice. But if you're an out of box collector, take them out. I think the biggest problem, like we talked earlier, is they don't hold their weapons too great. They get a little loose. Even Snake Eyes, you can wiggle it a little bit.
Yeah, he holds it the best though. Him and Cobra Commander. The bats are always dropping theirs.
But you know what that does though too is you're not worried about breaking the thumbs as much. Because
Nope.
what I do is you cock it in the hand and then the bass doesn't do it too well, the stock's too short. But you tuck it in the shoulder, tuck it behind
Yeah.
the wrist, and which it allows you to do.
I find with the bats, my bats are lefties. They hold better.
Well, did we mention when we talked about the bats that both hands are replaceable?
Yes.
And they also seem to have a little bit of a click. Mine do. There's like a little bit of a click at the very end. Yeah. Oh, you know what? While I got my other bats out, I heard a rumor that the original bats accessories swap on. Let's test that theory right now. So I'm trying the original laser pistol and I'm holding them up by that laser pistol. It works.
Nice.
Okay. Here's another thing that we know that the original uh, GI Joes, their backpacks, don't really mesh well with the retro O rings. So here's Snake Eye's backpack trying to go into Sergeant Slaughter. Sergeant Slaughter's back hole is too small. So same Snake Eyes 1985 backpack going into the back of the bat. Ooh, it's loose.
Mm. Little blue tack. Fix that.
So now I'm trying the bat's black backpack onto the blue Super 7 bat. Yeah, a little loose. So now I'm going to try Snake Eyes' backpack on Super 7 backpack on the Snake Eyes. Yeah, nope, too big. So, okay, so we found something that isn't perfect, and it's
Backpack swap.
I'm going to try foot peg swap. So you can take your Super 7 O rings and you can put them on your vintage vehicles. So
Oh,
that works. So load up your Havoc with Cover Girl and Snake Eyes and hopefully all the future army builders. So, I can't, you know what we didn't talk about Super 7 making green shirts. They made lots of green shirts in the reaction line.
mm-hmm.
So we'll be able to staff your G.I. Joe headquarters and flag. Flag. Sailors.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was getting out of reaction when the Sailors came out. So there's just too much. $25 for 5 POA. There's just too much. They look good though.
And they're still 5 POA, so they don't really mesh right. I'm sorry, they
Right.
don't. They don't.
But they look good on card.
Yeah, take it. But overall though, like I said, these things are huge.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Is there anything left to add into this discussion about these four figures?
Oh, just that they haven't hit my targets yet. When they do, I will troop build the crap out of the bat.
I think I'm going to stop at three. Three opened, um, only because I'm going to be responsible. Excuse me. Uh, if they come out with a Televiper, get a few for my Terradrome. This is good. You don't have to worry about cracking heels. Every time I take out a Cobra Trooper is like the last time I had him out for a photo session and I took out an 83 Cobra Trooper and stuff. I cracked another heel. And it's just like, I, you, some of these figures you just can't take out anymore. 83 Duke, you can't, 84 Duke, you can't do it anymore. You move his legs, you crack his crotch.
Yeah, I cracked my Serpentor hill. That was the last hill I lost.
Yeah. So as we still enjoy and pose and it's not like when we were 5. I mean, we're not, setting up, hey, come over to my house, I'll bring my Joes and you bring, have your Joes out and we're going to have an adventure. We're not playing that same way now. Some exceptions, of course. I really would love to do a play motion one of these days, but this gives me the confidence to do something without the worry of, I just broke another heel, I just broke another waist, and you know, you're throwing 50s out the window.
Yeah, pretty much.
You spent over $100 on your Snake Eyes V2. The only thing that says Snake Eyes V2 is missing is timber, really.
Yeah,
And other than that, though, play the heck away with them. So I'm all for more O-rings. I'm all for more options with playing and displaying and doing new things or just continuing that imagination, carrying it over from 1983, 84, 85 and so on.
yeah. It's like I said, love O rings. That's my preferred. So I'll pretty much support just about any O rings. I didn't do Ghostbusters because I don't care for Ghostbusters. Matt, he ordered those, but yeah, I just want to see it successful. As long as they put out stuff that I think is going to be cool, I will buy it.
And I don't think there's anywhere else to go. So to everybody, thank you for listening and watching. And this has been the Chaplain Sisters Motorpod. I have been your host, Gary. If you want more Chaplain Sisters Motorpod, you can find me on Instagram, X, and YouTube and Facebook at Chaplain Joe Pod. And Casey, where can people find more of you?
They can find me on a Podcast from the Pit on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, X. Yeah, come over and check us out. It's a lot of fun.
Really, only other thing is Chaplain Sisters Motorpod is the strange but not as strange, nerdy little brother of The Pint, a pop culture podcast. And with all that said and done, one final missile for the masses. Be decent to each other.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. A lot of those see-that's are probably going to be edited out in the finished audio version. That's a treat only for the video versions. Because this is
So they'll be like, well, you know what? Now I have to go watch it so I can see that.